Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Thank you for the incredible art and story you have given me and over 1 million others. To Sandfall Interactive, you have created a beautiful piece of art. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. What does Clair Obscur mean? It is a term used in painting to describe a strong contrast of light and dark. This is a massive love letter and praise to Sandfall and its team behind this masterpiece of gaming. It will have story spoilers beyond the prologue section, and of course, those will be marked. When it first was announced, I was pretty excited. An action turn-based RPG with a roster full of stars like Charlie Cox, Andy Serkis, the literal star Ben, Rich Kibble, Jennifer English, Deborah Wilde, simply to name some of the English voice cast. When the date of the release came, I was ready to dive in, and what can I say? It has devoured my very soul. A world so rich in tragedy, and yet beauty shines from afar like a sun on the horizon. The monolith and its paintress loom over all forebodingly, painting death, and still, you see her weep. You begin the story with the lover of your character vanishing into death before his very eyes, powerless to do anything, only able to be there for her. And the tragedy before you is accompanied by music that touches your very soul with so much melancholy and sorrow that you can barely breathe. Lorien Testard, the composer of this game, carries a great amount of it with his music, and Alice Duport-Percier is his main voice, which you will hear singing in the background, giving it an all ethereal sound which will haunt you for days. Within the prologue, many topics were addressed and presented to me, which would continue to appear in the game. What makes a good parent and member of society? Someone who brings children into a cruel world to maybe bring an end to the cycle of death, or the one who chooses not to have them and to save them from a fate so cruel? Should one accept death and embrace it fully, or mourn the stolen time and fight against its natural evil? Though the death known as the gommage in this game is hardly natural, still you see a mix of people who both despise and pity the paintress from afar. The game doesn't give you an answer to such questions. You, the player, are silently asked to decide that for yourself. When the prologue concludes with the departure to the continent with Expedition 33 to follow the 67 previous expeditions' footsteps, you are ready, and eager almost, to bring down the paintress who causes so much anguish to your people. And then a foreboding step, an echoing cane hitting the earth, and nearly everyone you know is gone, killed by a single man and horrible monsters. And you realize that there are people out there who do not wish this cycle to end. And you wonder why. And you wonder again if the paintress is truly evil, because if she does paint death, why is she clearly sobbing beneath her painting? So the game continues, and you are introduced with a quick and rewarding combat system. Similar to Souls-like, you must memorize your enemy's movement and react accordingly or get punished. This is such a stroke of genius. Usually turn-based combats tend to be boring or long-winded, but when the enemy is up, you the player can only do so much as have to bear whatever comes your way. Not in this game. You can dodge and parry correctly, and you do a counter-attack for massive damage, and every combat music you hear is a great thing to listen to. Whenever I enter combat in a new area, or had a new challenging boss ahead of me, the first few moments, I would simply close my eyes and listen. Every note and every word tells its very own story, the tragic fate of every character that is trapped in this endless cycle. One piece of music stood out to me the most, and truly solidified this game for me as, well, one of my favorites of all time. Spoilers from here until there, please skip ahead. The piece I am talking about is the one which plays when you fight Renoir at the bottom of the monolith after reaching the giant paintress. Une vie à t'aimer. which translates to a lifetime long of loving you. You hear a man and a woman singing together and at each other. You hear their anguish and their plea to one another. You hear both the names Aline and Renoir, and then the music kicks in, drums and guitar come, and you feel a conflict between these two people who are very much in love with each other. When I heard this piece the first time, and the drums and guitar had kicked in, I put my controller down and just listened and felt the raw emotions. And it became clear to me that this game was not a game about people surviving an apocalyptic event like the Fracture or the Gommage, but a story about a family in turmoil and grief. See, my French is not the worst, but it's also not the best. So whenever I listened to the lyrics, I would understand nearly half of it, but that was almost not necessary. The instruments, the rhythms and speed, the force in which the singers perform, they all paint a picture on the canvas that is Expedition 33. When the battle was over and I had reached the paintress herself, it became even more clear that this story was far more personal than it first led on. And with the end of Act 2 came the biggest reveal of the game, that the entire world was a painting, a creation of a Verso de Cendre, but not the one who had been with you, but the real Verso. The Verso who had died in a fire saving his sister Alicia, Maëlle. The paintress, Verso's mother, Aline, clings to this world like a drug to escape the reality of her son gone, and Renoir, Verso's father, tries to return his wife to reality and destroy the canvas and its creations so that the family could finally move on, no matter how painful the choice is. To experience a game that so openly and filterless shows and deals with such emotional heavy topics such as grief, death, escapism, the unwillingness to let go, the necessary evil, regret, love, selflessness and the cruel choices one must make in life, for the first time in a long while, I felt taken serious by a game. Never was it telling me how to think or how to feel, how to do things or what path was the right one, because as a human, one will do what he or she might think is the right choice, be it cruel or kind. This doesn't mean Expedition 33 is one sad fest, and only tragedy exists. No, there are plenty of joyful moments there, references to memes and minigames to entire other games such as Only Up, fun and witty dialogue you could imagine old friends would have with each other, banter you would love to hear when you sit in a pub with friends, characters reaching a milestone in their own development, such as allowing yourself to indulge in useless fun, overcoming a fear, accepting one's part of the past, and then celebrating these milestones with others. The gestuals, a people so full of fire and brimming with childlike eagerness, are always a laugh for me. The music too changes often from sad to excited, to eager to joyful, especially when you face one of the many gesturals inventions. This game has it all, the cruelty and kindness of truth and acceptance. As life tends to be, nothing is black or white, nothing is ever that simple. But if you wish, you can indulge yourself in this fantastic world, created by a team brimming with passion and love for their craft and for the people they made it for, and become a part of a world that is Clair Obscur.
Clair obscur, trouveras-tu, trouveras effet. Clair obscur, dans les hauts peintures, trouveras sans elle. Clair obscur, trouveras-tu, trouveras